Hello everyone. A chance encounter is the most unintentional thing in the world, someone once said. I suppose it's accurate. Occasionally, fate puts us in touch with wholly new, even strange individuals who that profoundly impact our life, without even being aware of it. The likelihood is that we such an impact on the life of others as well. Because sometimes a single word suffices that perhaps you haven't given much thought to can profoundly alter an individual. The best narrative will be the one we tell tomorrow. Evidence for that Nameli Gina works in California as a paramedic, a career she's desired her entire life. However, Gina had a memorable encounter when serving in the police force 15 years ago when she was a young woman just out of college. It had become deeply embedded in her mind. Young Gina had only recently started her responsibilities as a policewoman and had not worked for more than a month when the incident occurred in the fall of 2005. Her duty was to keep watch over the city park. While still being calm, the neighborhood was very packed. Students, parents, office professionals, and children all came in for lunch. But one day, she passed a little lake on her way to work. She discovered a stray. He was searching through the trash can for food, eating whatever he could find. Although it was only that day, Gina had previously seen this unfortunate man. The woman remembers, the weather was sunny. I made the decision to speak with the man because it was sunny outside and perhaps I was in a good mood. She addressed the man in a quiet voice, asking, "How much time has he spent there? How long did he spend on the streets?" The man had started to apologize when he saw the woman in uniform, saying, "I am sorry. I was just going." This was a typical response from a man upon seeing a police officer, but Gina calmed him, saying, "You have nothing to fear, I wish you no harm." So they conversed verbatim, and after a short while the homeless man informed me about himself. As it turned out, the man's name was Will. He had been homeless for 10 years, and he had previously held a job, house, as well as his future aspirations. His tragic tale started after his cherished husband passed away from cancer, despite his desire to have children. A man found it difficult to move on from his loss and begin a new life. The man started taking narcotics, and he did it on purpose, to escape reality. His demonstration served as a symbol of injustice. After that, everything continued as usual. The usual happened. He lost his job quickly, became homeless, and eventually found himself on the streets. Gina was inspired by the homeless man's narrative, perhaps as a result of his youth, inexperience, and innocence, yet she made the difficult decision to do something reckless. The homeless man's eyes lit up when the girl gave him clothing and shoes that she had purchased at a consignment shop along with a hot meal that same evening. The following day, Gina made plans to meet Will, during which she also provided him 10 so he could receive his paperwork. After all, she reasoned, doing it this way would enable him to alter his lifestyle and find employment more quickly. The girl was aware that it was too risky because a homeless person would use the money to buy more drink or drugs, but she had a gut feeling that this would be a good approach to influence Will. She even forced Will to vow that he would only use that tenner on paperwork and nothing else, helping him enroll in a program for the homeless in the process. When the girl first started experiencing issues at work, she couldn't get along with her new partner and, after moving from the suburbs and finding herself all alone in the city, she started spending more and more time with Will on a park bench. They could converse for hours on end, and she could see that the man was starting to change. He had a vague resemblance to her father, who she had also lost many years earlier. This continued for over a month. Gina genuinely thought she was doing a good act, but Will failed to show up at their house on 2 separate occasions. The girl had been coming for days in anticipation of seeing the man, but he suddenly vanished. When Gina went to check on him in the location where she had put him, she learned that Will hadn't arrived for a few days. She trusted this man and thought she could improve his life, so of course she felt deceived. The truth was rather different. It's difficult to believe, yet she endured that emotion for the following 15 arduous years. She had no idea if he was still alive or what had become of him. Shortly after Will vanished, the girl left the police department and made the decision to follow her ambition. Gina went to a new city, got married, became a paramedic, and of course occasionally thought back on those events. Of course, she occasionally thought back on that time, but she only grinned at the thought of being young and naive. After nearly 15 years had passed, she would likely believe for the rest of her life that she had failed to make a difference in the poor man's life, but October 25, 2019, was a memorable day for her. Gina made a pit break at the Chevron station. Out of the corner of her eye, she noticed a man standing behind her and gazing carefully at her as she checked out at the register. He blocked her path just as she was ready to leave the shop. "Do you remember me?" the man asked Ginny after giving her a startled expression that led her to believe he was insane. "Do I remember him?" he questioned as he stood there crying. After 3 seconds of consideration, I understood that this is Will, the woman. It was actually Will, and it turned out that he had kept his word. Later, he found his paperwork and even secured employment at a building site. Due to his busy schedule, he was unable to visit the park during the day. When he returned a few weeks later, the girl was gone. He worked at his new job for a few months before receiving a promotion, but in another city. He lived there for a while before meeting his future wife, who encouraged him to believe in God. He now regularly attends church on Sundays. Will managed to find happiness. The man had been looking for his wife but had been unsuccessful. Despite the fact that their paths hardly crossed 15 years later, fate has brought them back together hundreds of miles from the place where they first met. At an entirely arbitrary gas station. The two adults were crying uncontrollably that day, and neither of them was embarrassed to express their feelings because their unexpected meeting wasn't really a coincidence. "We cried in the middle of the store before asking one of the staff members to snap a picture of us," Gina wrote on Facebook when she shared her experience. "This is why I wanted to tell you the story. Kindness is important. A person's life can be changed by kindness. You might never learn, but Will is living proof of it. Being good will reward you 100-fold, so be good in whatever you do." Gina, I firmly believe that we are all capable of goodness. It's okay to display it because you never know when you could be able to save someone's life. Do you, my friends, think that nothing in our life is even remotely an accident? Post your thoughts in the comment section. Please consider subscribing to our channel. That's all for now. Goodbye.